Welcome back to the Otter Creek in Rio Grande. We're going to pick up right where we left off from the previous video on the sisal rope tree. I'm going to get right to it. Now, on to step 2, which involves putting in the bark texture, or rather putting on the bark texture. Now, the bark texture, I'm not going to mess with anything down on this end, and I probably not even do anything on the larger pieces of rope. I'll probably start with the bark with the first place it branches out. I'm going to use this, which is sifted sawdust. It's probably 50-50 regular sawdust and masonite sawdust. I prefer the masonite sawdust, but I was running a little bit low and I wasn't sure if I had enough to finish the project, so I fleshed it out with the regular sawdust, which it sifts, but it doesn't sift quite as fine as the masonite does. This part is really self-explanatory. Let's see if I can do this and still be on camera. It's just a matter of going in and covering your branch with full strength matte medium. What I'm trying to do is just get the first group of 3. Another reason I prefer the pure masonite sawdust over the regular sawdust is because it's already kind of the right color. That's the idea. I'm going to do a little more work and come back when I've got more to show. Here's a look at what I've done so far. And what I want to do now is make sure that the sawdust adheres very well to the wires. So I'm going to do another step just to make sure that this stuff adheres well. This is a 90% IPA, and I'm just going to go in and wet down the areas that I want to add scenic cement to. If you've been doing this for a while, you know that if you add alcohol to anything, it reduces the surface tension and makes your glue, your watered down glue flow where you want it to go without beating up and falling off of your work. Now this is, again, 3-to-1 matte medium, 3 parts water, 1 part matte medium. And the reason I use this stuff is because I know 100% it remains flexible. So even after I get this glued on, I should be able to come back and move these branches to kind of where I want them to compose the tree. Now this next step, I don't overdo this. I just sprinkle on a little bit more, and I'm looking for any gaps that maybe I didn't get covered in the initial layer of sawdust. if you overdo this, you could, in theory, do this, and I've done this where I've built up the bottom of the trunk intentionally trying to make it fatter, and I didn't have good results. So I think less is more. You want just enough sawdust on these branches to cover the wire, make sure that you don't see any of the spooling, so to speak. All right, I'm going to set this outside in the 100-degree heat, let it dry, and come back for the next step. Now it's time to move on to creating the thicket, the branch structure that's going to support the leaves. And that's just a matter of untwining these things. And you can see that they kind of go in multiple different directions. Which is advantageous. And in my opinion, kind of the wider they get, the better off you are. Which is one of the reasons why I like to have some of these wires left over, is they not only provide support, but you can kind of separate these strands just a little bit more. All right, you get the idea. I'm kind of failing to show how well I'm doing that on camera, so I'm gonna continue to poof those out and then come back. All right, everything is splayed out here, and I think it's looking pretty good. You know, I think a little brown and gray paint might even make this look like a decent dead tree. Now, the next thing I want to do is do a little pruning. And I'm not 100% sure what I want this to look like, but I know for sure that this sisal stuff really only works well if it's about 2 inches. I also want to make sure that not everything is cut the exact same length. There needs to be a little bit of variety in the length and the shape of the different smaller branch structures. And having a few long branches sticking out works pretty good. It helps convey a sense of growth. I just don't want everything to be the same length. Now, some of these that are really thin, like this one right here, there's not a lot you can do to get it to spread out wider. Oh, I don't think I made it worse. All right, you kind of get the idea there. I'm going to continue working on it until I get it looking the way I want, and then we will come back and do static grass. Of course, that will be in the next episode. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching the Otter Creek and Rio Grande.